We're live. We're
Hello,
live.
everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sound Booth Theater Live. We have AC Fuller here with us today.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to do some scenes from Echo Chamber and Off Message, I believe. Is that right?
Or maybe just off message.
Maybe just off message.
The problem with doing a scene from Echo Chamber is that there may not be a single scene in it that isn't a spoiler for the other two books.
Good call. Yeah, because there's so many twists that happen in Off Message.
Yeah, that if you... So I picked a couple scenes that won't spoil Echo Chamber. And Echo Chamber, I couldn't find anything that wouldn't spoil the other two books because there's some big twists in Off Message.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped up. By the way, guys, okay, first of all, regarding this particular Sound Booth Theater Live, go check out Open Primary Ameritocracy Book 1. That's the first of the series that we are demonstrating for today. And the next two are coming out very, very soon. I think we're going to be submitting to the publisher tomorrow for Off Message. And then we may even be able to do a week from tomorrow for the next book because they're all recorded. All the retakes are done. It's just editing and production that's being taken care of at the moment. And also right now is probably the best time for you guys to be buying the first book at least. And we have two more books that just came out today. Wildlife Reckoning by Jeff Menapace and Cherry Blossom Girls 3 just came out. What's that? Oh yeah, you need to make that post.
I mean, make a post.
Yeah, after this. So everything's half off on Audible right now. Everything.
How long?
So go I think 2 more days. So go pick all those books up, guys.
I didn't know that. Everything's half off on Audible?
I think so. Everything's half off on Audible. Everything that I've seen.
Gotta go shopping.
Yeah. So today, one more thing. We just reached 899 subscribers on the YouTube channel.
The 900th. Who's gonna be 900th?
Someone's got to do it. We got 13.
Offer a gift to the 900th subscriber.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. So whoever does that, make sure to claim it in the chat, and we'll see who you are. We'll see if you're lying. And fair play, you know. Well, what are we gonna do? But we'll see it. We'll know. And then whoever is number 900, I'll give you a free audiobook. So make sure to tell us in the chat who it was. Okay, so on to Off Message, which is book 2 of Meritocracy. And AC, you have picked chapter 2 as our first read today. Are we just starting at the very beginning?
Yeah, I'd say. Well, tell me how much you want to do, but in the recorded version you guys did is 17 minutes if you do the whole chapter. So I don't know if it would take a little longer if you're doing it live. But anyway, I'll just set up this scene and you guys can think about how much you want to do of it. This scene is set on a fictional island that's a tiny island off the coast of California that only rich people know about. And Mia, the main character, who in book 1 kind of launched this online political campaign. Now the campaign is in full swing in book 2. And in this scene, it's New Year's Eve, and she is going to this extremely wealthy party with her billionaire boyfriend. And there's a couple very tiny spoilers for the first book in this, but nothing too bad. So go buy book 1 if you haven't already, but if you have, then there won't be any spoilers in this. And anyway, she's at this party with billionaires and some non-billionaires, and she's trying to raise money for her campaign. And then, as usually happens in anything that involves politics, there's a scandal that breaks out during the party. And because it's current times, the scandal involves leaked video on Twitter, which is something we probably all know quite a bit about by now.
Yes.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, Annie.
Chapter 2. 2 hours later, the ferry docks at an unmarked and nearly invisible pier along the east coast of Gold Island. The 7-mile ride from Ocean Cove took 20 minutes, which barely allowed me time to wrestle elbow to elbow with the women preparing for the party in the ship's ladies' room. A sea of feathers and sequins obscured much of the view of myself in the wall of mirrors behind a row of steel sinks, But I got my hair in order, and I look like the cat's whiskers in my 1920s flapper-style dress. It's light gray, with Art Deco sequin triangles and lace insets that make me feel like I'm walking into an F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. In a manner of speaking, I am. Legally, Gold Island is owned by an overseas LLC, but it's the shared play place of some of Silicon Valley's richest men and women. Tonight, it's the hot Tonight, it's the host of a 1920s throwback New Year's Eve party hosted by Peter, who, in addition to being my boyfriend, is one of the young money billionaires who likes to spend his money on ridiculous, over-the-top parties. In my 2-inch black heels, I stroll from the dock of the in my 2-inch black heels, I stroll from the dock to the mansion, doing my best not to stumble on the uneven stone walkway. The party is in full swing. Fast jazz music floats toward me through the cool night air, and the stone mansion is lit by what must be a million candles. At the main entrance, I'm greeted by a man in an old-fashioned tuxedo who asks for my cell phone.
This is a technology-free party.
He holds his hand out like he's asking for a tip. Peter told me I'd have to check my gadgets at the door so I wouldn't freak out. Forewarned, I checked Twitter, Facebook, and the Meritocracy's top 10 list while on the ferry. That should keep withdrawal at bay. I hand the doorman my phone and enter the massive ballroom. Peter sees me as soon as I see him. Even in a room full of millionaires, billionaires, and celebrities, all dressed in fabulous vintage outfits, Peter moves like he owns the place. He glides toward me like each person is exactly where they should be, where he knew they would be. In his 1920s tuxedo, complete with lapel vest and black wingtips, he slides around them effortlessly, like a skier navigating a course for the 100th time.
Darling,
He leans in to kiss me.
you're late.
The way he says darling is perfectly Peter, full of cartoonish wealth and exaggerated classiness, but with enough self-deprecating irony to be charming. I've had to pinch myself quite a few times lately. Hot relationships and generous billionaires aren't really my thing. 4 months ago, an exciting evening consisted of getting off work at 6, having a glass of wine with Steph, then eating leftovers while watching Game of Thrones for the 3rd time. Now it's, well, not that. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna drink some water so you don't have to listen to my dry mouth for the rest of the chapter.
Time to fill. Yeah, my wife is in the background taking credit for the cat's whiskers line.
I love that.
Aww.
Which she does deserve credit for.
My favorite line in the whole book.
No, it's really cute.
She got really into the 1920s themed kind of Gatsby-esque party, and she added that. And I think there's one other line that she added that is a 20s reference.
A lot of the ferry boat scenes.
Yeah, the ferry boat scene she punched up a little bit too.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. It's a good addition. Okay. Peter and I haven't put labels on what's going on between us. I'm working harder than I ever have, and I don't have time to obsess about my relationship status. Plus, I'm having a great time, and I don't want to complicate things by overthinking them. For now, it's good sex, extravagant food, and nights on his king-sized bed under the canopy of stars that shine through the opening in his retractable roof. Beats my tiny room in the office hands down. I missed the early ferry, I say. Got pulled over. Excuse me. He takes my hand and we step back against the wall, surveying the scene.
I should have warned you about the speed trap. What do you think of the party? Keen, right?
I roll my eyes at him playfully, trying to take it all in. The ballroom is an open space of at least 4,000 square feet, decorated with Art Nouveau prints and vase after vase of white and pink flowers. The largest chandelier I've ever seen hangs in the center over a parquet dance floor. Riders in formal black and white outfits hurry in and out of a hidden kitchen, handing out champagne and hors d'oeuvres to guests. In the corner, a full jazz band plays on a small stage, next to which are some familiar faces. Oh, Steph and Malcolm are here, I say. Though I've gotten used to my low-level celebrity, I'm still more comfortable with my old friend Steph, who manages the day-to-day operations of Ameritocracy, and Malcolm, one of Peter's assistants, who DJs on the side. Peter wraps his arm around my waist gently.
Among other people, I'm going to introduce you to some potential donors tonight, plus some other interesting people.
I know. I don't mean to be a wet blanket, but I want to say hi to them. At first, I worried about what it would be like when my relationship with Peter went public. Because he's the CEO of Colton Industries and a serial celebrity dater, I wondered whether our relationship would become constant fodder for the tabloids. We've had a few stories, but it turns out that many of the scandalous affairs that reach the front page are leaked by PR people desperate to generate publicity for their celebrity clients. That, combined with the fact that I'm not especially interesting, has kept those stories at bay. I tug Peter's lapel, and we weave through traffic across the room. Malcolm catches my eye when we are still 10 feet away, nodding at the woman to his left as if to say, "Look who's here." She's about 30 years older than Malcolm, early 60s, I'm guessing, but stunning in a blood-red dress and matching heels. For a moment, I assume he's showing off his date, but then I think I recognize her.
Mia,
He says as Peter and I approach.
good to see you.
Steph hugs me quickly. "You're late. You left me alone with these cartoonish rich bastards and..." "Oh, hi, Peter,"
Hello, Steph.
Peter says. "By cartoonish rich bastards, I definitely didn't mean you." They're about the same size, about half a foot taller than me. Steph loves to make fun of him, and she's protective of me, but she likes Peter. "Seriously, though," she says, "nice party." After an awkward moment, I turn to the woman in the red dress next to Malcolm. "I'm Mia,"
Oh, sorry.
Malcolm says as I shake the woman's hand.
I figured you two already knew each other, since she's writing a piece on you. On Ameritocracy. Mia, this is Gretchen Esposito. Washington Now podcast, formerly of the Washington Post, the Dallas Morning News, and so on.
"She doesn't need my resume," Gretchen says. I swallow hard. "Oh, duh. I knew I recognized you. I was just listening to..." Never mind. "A piece? You're writing about..." "Wait, what?"
She's writing a piece on Ameritocracy.
Peter says.
I invited her to the party.
"And Malcolm is..." "Babysitting me," Gretchen says. "My guess is that Peter assigned him to make sure I don't get any reporter cooties on the rich folks." Steph lets out a long, loud laugh, temporarily drowning out the sound of the trumpets, which have kicked in on the other side of the room.
We just can't afford another cootie outbreak.
Peter says jokingly. Smoothly. Peter jokes smoothly. Gretchen locks eyes with me. "I'd love to get an hour with you." We are the same height, but her eyes are laser-focused, her light brown hair tied into an unceremonious ponytail. I'm intimidated, but I try not to let on. "That'd be fine," I say. "Not tonight, though. We're here to enjoy ourselves. Plus, I imagine you don't have a recorder with you since it's a no-technology party." "I have excellent recall," she says. "I can transcribe whole conversations from memory." I squeeze Peter's hand, uncomfortable at the thought of Gretchen Esposito digging into my life or my past. "Call my office tomorrow and we'll set up a sit-down. But wait, what's it for? I thought you only did the podcast now."
She's doing a freelance feature for the New York Times Magazine.
Peter says.
I figured you knew.
I give him an irritated look. It's not just that he gave access to a reporter without asking me. One of the rumors going around, and one of the things that the Saturday Night Live sketch poked fun at, is the notion that Peter secretly controls a meritocracy, since he donated the $5 million that launched us into the limelight. "Don't blame him," Gretchen says. "I may have given him the impression that you knew about the feature. Access is what we have. Access is all we have." Steph shoots an irritated look at her, but I decide to smooth it over. Pissing off Gretchen Esposito as she's writing a feature on Ameritocracy is a bad move. It's fine. Just call the office. We'll connect next week, early next week. Good, she says, turning. I'm gonna get a drink. Malcolm follows her to the bar, and I turn to Steph. Did you know she was writing a feature? No, Steph says. This is America, after all. She doesn't need our approval to write about us. I jab Peter in the arm playfully. But she needs approval to come to the party. Can't believe you invited her.
I figured you wouldn't mind. Besides, she did give me the impression that you knew.
I know from experience at my old job managing the offices of the online magazine The Barker that journalists often gain access by playing sides against one another. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, and I can't hold it against Gretchen. She was just ripping into DB on her podcast. Don't be sensitive, Steph says. It's literally her job to ask the tough questions. She does it to Democrats, Republicans, and five-star generals. Hell, she even digs into other news organizations when they deserve it. The fact that she was grilling DB on her podcast elevates him and us. Fine. I offer a weak smile and grab 2 glasses of champagne from a passing tray. I hand one to Steph and we raise our glasses. To us and to a fabulous 2020.
What about me?
Peter says, pretending to be hurt. Just then, another tray passes. This one covered in champagne glasses filled with a reddish liquid and garnished with lime wedges. Peter's signature Red Bull might as well
I want
be
to write about dish liquid at some point.
He takes one, then he takes one when the waiter slows. Okay, I say. To the 3 of us. Peter downs the glass in one sip. And
oh, I thought
that's
that's me.
you. I think
Is that me?
I think it is you, yeah.
And to Ameritocracy.
Let me take another sip. As that is a chapter break. By 11:30, I've had 2 glasses of champagne, and Peter has chugged 3 Red Bulls. I've embarrassed myself attempting the foxtrot, and Peter has somehow managed to make the Charleston look cool. Gretchen Esposito and her perfect memory have been hovering around me all night, Malcolm always nearby. My only regret is that I haven't spent much time with Steph, who's been fluttering from potential donor to potential donor all evening. After our big rally in November, we received an influx of $5 million from my old boss, Alex Vane, and 4 of his media mogul pals. Other donations poured in as well. We now have over $20 million set aside to present to the campaign of the winning candidate. But we can always use more money. And, as Steph loves to point out, $20 million is only a tenth of what the Democrats and Republicans will spend in 2020. Over 1 million new voters have registered since the rally, and around 200 new candidates. To my surprise, the new candidates haven't gotten much traction yet. Other than DB and Robert Mast, who have risen to numbers 1 and 2 respectively, the top 10 is much as it was before the rally. Panting on my way back from the dance floor, I catch Steph's eye. She's chatting with an old woman. As I approach, I hear she's doing so in French. Not speaking a word of the language, I tune her out until I hear the words au revoir, and Steph grasps my arm. We need to talk. Huh? She drags me into a corner, then looks around to make sure no one else is within earshot. About an hour ago, the staff started disappearing in and out of the kitchen. I'm tipsy and have no idea what she's talking about. Isn't that their job? She gestures at a pair of waiters, hurrying through the door. They were acting odd, so I started chatting with one, and you're leaving Benjamin for a waiter? Benjamin Singh is Steph's boyfriend, or at least the guy she's sleeping with for the last 3 months. He's also our lead tech guy at Ameritocracy. She glares at me, and I know something serious is happening. Mia, be quiet for a minute. This is important. I don't know if Steph has had as much champagne, but her tone makes me feel more sober by the second. What is it? There's a video. She stops mid-sentence, and I follow her eye to Gretchen Esposito, who stands beside us, seeming to have appeared out of nowhere. Are you hearing about a leak? Gretchen asks. Huh? I look from Steph to Gretchen, thoroughly confused. The reporter stares me down. I'm hearing something about a leak. I look for Malcolm. Isn't Malcolm supposed to be babysitting you? It comes out a little ruder than I intended. I mean, watching you? Helping you? I ditched him when he went to the bathroom. I keep hearing rumors about a video. Steph steps between us. No phones here tonight, remember? For all we know, they might have found David Bowie alive and well in Greenland. It's almost midnight anyway, Gretchen. She grabs a glass of champagne from a table and hands it to her. Go have some fun. Gretchen eyes me suspiciously, takes a small sip of champagne, then turns on a dime to meet Malcolm, who's hurrying across the room toward her. Steph pulls me behind the stage, where the band is playing a jazz ballad that sounds vaguely Italian. There's a video, she whispers, cupping her mouth to my ear. Of DB. Another DB video? That's good news. Why do you sound so concerned? DB's Christmas Day video to his fans became Ameritocracy's most watched video of all time. Partially because he used it to endorse single-payer healthcare while his cute pug sat on his lap, but also because he did so with a casual sincerity that convinced a lot of people that he knew what he was talking about. It was the video that pushed him into the #1 spot. Not that kind of video. What do you mean? I ask, but Steph doesn't answer. She fixes her eyes on mine the way she did when she told me she'd seen my then-boyfriend Aaron at a restaurant with his ex. It's a look that says, something is wrong, really wrong, and I don't want to say it out loud. What is it? The band begins to slow. Trumpet-heavy version. The band begins a slow, trumpet-heavy version of Auld Lang Syne, and Steph drags me into the kitchen past a group of waiters filling trays with champagne flutes. A woman in a white chef's coat barks orders, but doesn't seem to mind as we pass through. Steph, where are we? Wait. We pass through the front kitchen into a larger kitchen with lower ceilings and at least a dozen ovens and stoves under a long stainless steel hood system. My guess is that the kitchen is closed for the night because a group of chefs in black coats huddle in the corner as men in aprons wipe down countertops. Steph marches up to the group of chefs. Hector. Oh. I forget how to pronounce this. Let me try my best. Muestre a mí el video. Muestre a mí el video. Is that right?
Wish I could help you on that. Wish I could help you. My strategy is I look things up on Google Translate and then I try.
That's what I did, but I don't remember what it said. But I did make sure. But it's right. It's right in the book.
It's right in the book. Yeah.
Sin had a reaction. Sin is our proofer and she speaks Spanish, so
we need to get Sin up on the line to do this one line for me. Do Hector. The circle of chefs opens to let us in, and I see that they've been staring down at one man's iPhone. I have a bad feeling about this. Show her, Steph says to the oldest of the chefs, who has a yellow pin on his jacket naming him as Hector Castro, executive chef. Hector eyes me. When I waitressed, the chefs hated when we came into the kitchen. The only group they hated to see in the kitchen more than the waitresses were the patrons. So, at first, I take his look as one of suspicion.
Are you sure?
He asks Steph. No, not suspicion. It's concern. Show me, I demand, pushing into the center of the group. Hector presses play. It's not especially high res, probably almost 20 years old. It appears to be a sex tape, in that it's mostly a naked guy lying between the legs of a mostly naked girl. And yes, that's David Benson. He's maybe 20 years old, with a floppy boy band haircut that looks outdated now, but those classic good looks are unmistakable. I try to figure out if I recognize the girl beneath him making soft noises, her breasts exposed and bouncing. I don't recognize her, but she doesn't appear to be conscious.
Okay.
That's the
So-
cliffhanger and leads to the first pile of drama at the beginning of the book.
Oh yes, lots of drama around this particular thing. I think we're all familiar with that, considering what's been happening over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, a leaked sex tape on Twitter is would not really be that surprising at this point.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was working on this book, I worked with my wife and my brother on it, on outlining scenes and coming up with the storylines, and we realized that as we were writing it, the reality was outpacing the most extreme things we could come up with.
You're like, shit!
Yeah.
Get ahead of it, but you can't. You can't get ahead of it.
I mean, this was supposed to be kind of drama and also a bit of dark comedy, like like a twinge of a Black Mirror kind of feel of like, look how
how bad it could get.
Yeah, look at how weird things could get in America, and like, as you know, and I would wake up and like the most extreme thing we could think of and put in chapter 28, had happened the day before and was front page. And so I mostly mean in terms of the way technology is interfacing with politics and hacking and all these things, and how they're just colliding at high speed. So a leaked sex video on Twitter would be like the least shocking thing to happen, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
But the next chapter is another one. I mean, obviously, straight out of the headlines, it involves. So this will be a spoiler. It won't really ruin the main storyline for anyone, but this is definitely a spoiler for the next book. In this book, chapter 16 involves a mass shooting at one of their political rallies. Also, something that would be especially surprising were it to happen in reality.
Now, Annie, is there any
Chapter
part
16.
between? Yeah. Well, is there any part between here and 16 that you feel like you wanna do before we get to it? Or
I could just pick a random chapter. I can't remember them all by. I kind of dropped the ball on.
Let me think if there's another one that would be good.
Well, how long is 16? I mean, maybe 16 will be enough.
16 is a shortish chapter. It's maybe 15 minutes in the final proofed audiobook, 12 or 15 minutes, I think. Okay. And so I'm not sure how long it would take, but we could also do the one before that, 15, except that I like 16 because it involves Dixon and Axum, which would give Jeff a lot of chance to read. And also it's full of action. And this book, and really this whole series kind of goes back and forth between a lot of political stuff. It's definitely a series for political junkies who like drama. And so it's got its fair share of conversations and political speeches, but also it's got some bodies and some more actions type stuff. So that's why I thought to do this.
Right.
Definitely we want to do 16. I mean, wouldn't 15 give something away? Isn't there something?
Well, yeah, it would give some
sort of
things
shocking
away in
that happens in 15.
Yeah, it's more of a 15 would touch on more of the main storyline and kind of ruin that for some people.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that one, but
well, let's just move on to 16.
Yeah.
It should be enough. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna run and grab a charger for my Kindle because it's just about to die. But just to remind you guys, any new people who just showed up, if we get whoever is our 900th subscriber to our YouTube channel will get a free audiobook. So jump on that now. Let us know in the chat what your name. Probably Facebook is the best place for us to to send you the code. But if you can tell us your name on Facebook in the chat once you subscribe, if you are our number 900, then you'll get a free audiobook. So I'll be right back.
Looks like it's still at $8.99 for now. Someone better jump on it.
Yeah, right? I think I'm looking at the beginning of chapter 15 because I think I might have the timing wrong. Oh, no, that is when that happens.
All right. Back in business here.
I wonder, in fact, I think what might be a good idea is to back up a little ways into chapter 15. Is that ever done? Where you just sort of like do a bit of the last chapter to lead up?
Oh, you mean do 16 first and then go to 15?
No, I just mean not do all of 15, but do like
I see.
pages because
Sure.
That'd be fine, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do that. I'll go to 15. And then you just make the call when it looks like you're about to hit a spoiler. Uh-oh, Bronze Saber just subbed.
Okay, so I'm going to start at pressing
That's
my
900.
feet into the ooh, congratulations.
Yay.
Ding 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 900.
All right, Bronze Saber.
I'm going to apply chapstick in honor of this moment.
Yeah, that is another reward.
That's right. Here's your reward.
Okay,
instead of the audiobook, so there's no audiobook. That was it.
That was it.
That was the reward.
There's your book.
Wait, Bronze Saber says it wasn't him.
Oh.
Who was it then? It's a mystery.
It was it. Okay, so
someone has to fess up.
So basically, without giving anything away, Mia has just gone up to her hotel room. They're in the middle of a debate. And Mia has gone up to her hotel room to use the bathroom, and she saw something really like that on the way there. She was on her journey. She discovered something really shocking, but then she had to come back downstairs and come back into the room and be with the candidates and the audience. So she's just returned to the room and she's trying to focus again and put this other thing out of her mind on the present moment. Pressing my feet into the frayed carpet, I try to get my bearings. I'm in shock, but I have to find a way through this. I take a deep breath, trying to focus on Futch. His usual bombast ought to be a distraction, at least. His usual bombast ought to be a distraction, at least. Sorry, did I not give you enough time to find your place?
No,
Jeff?
sorry.
I didn't really give you your...
No, that's my bad.
Americans have been brainwashed by the media, so this won't be popular. But women and men aren't supposed to be equal. If God wanted us to be equal, he would have made us the same. Instead, he gave women the gift of cooking and cleaning. He gave men the physical strength and mental stamina to hunt and fish.
A smattering of boos rises from the audience, rises from the crowd. A smattering of boos rises from the crowd. Plus a loud hoot from a lone Futch supporter who draws glares from a dozen people around him. Gwyn shushes them.
So-called equality,
Futch continues,
is how they justify taking away individual American freedoms. In my White House, I'll leave theorizing about equality up to commies like Charlie Blass. Meanwhile, America will be kicking butt again.
This draws mild applause, quickly drowned out by more boos. Cecilia Mason is next, and she sets her sights on Futch right away. Cooking? She asks incredulously. I pay for private chefs, and they're all men. Some laughs and hollers come from the crowd, but not as many as Mason expected. She waits for more applause. Countering Futch is a good strategy, but admitting to having four private chefs, not so much. Men like Tanner Futch do a disservice to conservative values, to values that, until recently, were considered liberal democratic values. He gives credence to those on the left, like Miss Morales and Miss Dixon, who believe the right is greedy and xenophobic and contradictory. Personally, I don't think his vicious rhetoric should be allowed on public airwaves. I'm ashamed my grandchildren might be watching this. Men like Futch are why conservatives get painted with a broad brush. The sheer volume of a man like Futch makes people believe that anyone who favors free markets, small government, voter ID laws, or individual rights over group rights must be greedy, regressive, and racist. Please answer the question, Gwen Winters interjects. But Mason is on a roll. Men like Futch allow those on the far left to say conservatives can't possibly have deeply held, principled beliefs because men like Tanner Futch have no true beliefs. He's a bad actor, espousing the slogans likely to enrage a mob and boost his ratings. Miss Mason, please, Gwen says. Stick to the question. This is the most passionate I've seen Cecilia Mason, and I'm more convinced than ever that she's going all in to win this competition. But it's not your fault, she continues, ignoring Gwen. It's in the media's interest to hold up men like Tanner Futch as the voice of conservatives. And do you know why? Because conflict sells. Period. Conflict sells. The media makes more money by showing Tanner Futch arguing with Antifa rioters than it does by showing a moderate, reasonable debate. And the media is made up mostly of publicly traded corporations legally bound to operate in the best interest of their shareholders, to make money, not to inform. Time's up, Miss Mason. As to how I would ensure the equality of women and minorities, I'll say that it can't happen the way Mr. Blass believes, through government redistribution of wealth. It can't happen. I'm distracted by a man entering the meeting hall from a door to the right of the stage. At first, I think he must work at the Cornhusker because guests aren't supposed to use the doors near the stage. Ms. Mason, we'll cut your mic. Please, let me finish. Only 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds. The man has unkempt blonde hair and dirty jeans. He looks angry, confused, and something tells me he doesn't belong here. A rising tide lifts all boats, Mason says, which is why I will kickstart the American economy through sensible deregulation and renewed emphasis on wholesome American values. Time's up, Gwen says loudly enough to bring my attention back to the stage. Skipping over Miss Hall's vacant podium, we have Miss Johnson. Crack! It's a sharp, echoless noise, and for a second I think the microphone's blown out. Then it repeats. Crack! 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 Gunshots. Those are gunshots. Chapter 16. A scream from the audience tells me where to look. A woman in the front row topples out of her chair, blood shooting from her neck. The man walks from the right of the stage toward the front row, holding a rifle and firing shot after shot, seemingly at random. As shots fill the hall, the crowd pushes toward the door. 3 more shots and a scream. A woman's scream. Then a shout from a man I can't see.
Get out!
The panic is palpable and spreading. I'm frozen in place on the other side of the hall, watching as the shooter stops near the right side of the stage, facing the crowd. 2 more shots. The crowd surges for the back doors, hundreds, all at once, falling over chairs, pulling each other off the floor, some screaming but others in stunned, frantic silence. 3 more shots, and I drop to the ground. People rush past me, some stepping on me as they pass. A woman stops and pulls me up from behind, shoving me toward the door. Move! Turning back toward the stage as the crowd surges forward, something tells me I have to stay with my candidates. I fight against the throng pushing me toward the exit as 3 cracks fill the hall. Finally, I make it to the stage and duck behind the podium. I reach into my purse and dial 911 without taking out my phone. Next, I do a quick count. My 9 candidates are still there, huddled behind podiums. Crack! An older woman in the crowd collapses. Go, go, go! I yell toward the 3 candidates closest to me. Robert Mast, Marlon Dixon, and Maria Ortiz Morales. Crack! Crack! More shots, one after the other, then a lull. The shooter turns his rifle sideways and does something to it.
No!
Someone yells.
He's reloading!
Mast and Morales run past me, off the stage and toward the creaky side door, followed by my remaining candidates, all but Dixon and Axum, who huddle together behind a podium. More shots, different sounding. The shooter has dropped the rifle, but is firing a pistol he must have been carrying somewhere. Another body drops, this time a black woman in a bright orange hat. Glancing toward the press row in the front, I see that all but one of the reporters have disappeared. One young woman stands behind a large TV camera as though nothing has changed, adjusting her position to follow the shooter. Crack! Crack! A swarm of people reach the back doors. They're stuck! Someone shouts.
Locked!
Someone else says.
We're locked in!
Another scream. You're crushing us! The mob sways toward the back door, pressing people into them. Leaping up, I shout. Go for the side door! You're crushing people! Side door! The crowd shifts course slowly, moving from the back of the hall to the side in a giant wave. The problem is, the shooter is still drifting slowly toward the back. He's reloaded, and now most of the crowd is moving toward him. Crack! An elderly Asian man goes down. Crack! A young girl in a white dress falls away from her mother, who had been holding her hand. Suddenly, Marlon Dixon jumps down from the stage, stepping between the shooter and hundreds of people still pushing from the back of the hall toward the side door. The shooter pauses, as though startled to see someone deliberately approach him. Dixon holds his hands out wide, trying to fill as much space as possible between the shooter and the crowd. As the shooter falters, Axum jumps down, also, putting his hands out, palmed up.
Hey, you! Excuse me. What's your name?
Dixon, I realize, is praying.
Lord, give me the strength to face my enemy with love. Please don't let any more of your children die here today.
The shooter fires again. Dixon staggers, but keeps his feet. Behind him, a steady stream of people escape through the side door.
What's your name?
Axum repeats, and the shooter seems to notice him now.
James?
He says, almost sulkily. Then, as though embarrassed for being curt.
James Brockenfield. Please, stop shooting.
Axum says, his voice desperate but somehow warm.
Please. I'm asking you, James. I know it feels like there's no alternative.
The shooter starts to raise his pistol toward Axum, and Dixon speaks, his large preacher's voice demanding attention.
You have a choice, James. Even now, even here, you have a choice. Shut up!
The shooter jerks the gun in Dixon's direction.
That's not necessary.
Axum says.
Please. He's trying to help. We're both trying to help. My name is Avery Axum. You're James Brockenfield, right? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah.
The shooter's voice wavers, his eyes shifting back and forth between the two men facing him.
Why did you come here today?
Axum asks.
Are you angry about politics? If you are, you have every right to be. Politics? Couldn't care less about that crap. Then why did you come here today?
Brockenfield looks around the room, now almost empty except for those he's already shot.
I thought Brenda was going to be here, Facebook said. My girlfriend, my ex, she likes that one lady. More money for education. The government needs to budget just like a household. Try my Dutch baby recipe, all that BS. I think you mean Beverly Johnson.
Axum says.
Whatever. You sound like you're hurting pretty bad.
Dixon says. For the first time, I notice the hole in the right shoulder of his midnight blue suit. A red flower blooms across his shirt front. 1 inch at a time. Axum angles his body to get between Dixon and Brockenfield.
So, you came here because you thought your ex-girlfriend would be here?
Axum asks calmly. It appears the shooter isn't a political terrorist, which gives me a glimmer of hope he's not going to kill Dixon and Axum. It also occurs to me that the shooting won't reflect as badly on Ameritocracy if Brockenfield's motives were personal, not political. As soon as I think it, I'm mortified. Dead bodies are scattered around the hall, and I can't help but think about the PR fallout. What the hell have I become?
I've got nothing left to live for.
Brockenfield says.
Nothing. Everything is so... Tell us.
Axum implores.
I'm not getting out of here alive, I know that. Nobody gets out alive. I don't even want to. I want to kill her, but I didn't even see her here. What?
Axum asks.
It's just us three. It's just us three here. What is it? It's never going to stop. I'm going to wake up alone every day, forever, and be nothing.
His face is ashen and hollow. Shame has replaced his rage. The young man's sneer replaced by barely quivering lips.
You aren't nothing.
Dixon says.
No one is. I understand how it can feel that way, though.
Axum's voice is soft and gentle.
I've felt that way. The day that my wife died. Can I tell you about that, James?
Brockenfield doesn't speak. He nods slowly. The last few audience members slip out the side door as Axum speaks.
What I need you to do,
Axum says,
is lower the gun. Just a little, so it's not pointing at us. I lecture in front of a couple hundred critical 20-year-olds every day, but none of them make me as nervous as a loaded gun.
Brockenfield lowers the gun, and I breathe for the first time, and I don't know how long. I've read someplace that Axum is a widower, but I've never given much thought to what losing his wife must have been like.
When my wife was injured, I wasn't with her. She was in the kitchen, and they think she must have slipped. Hit her head on the counter, and, well, by the time I got home, she'd been bleeding into her brain for hours.
Axum drops eye contact with Brockenfield and looks at the floor.
4 days in a coma. She never woke up.
Brockenfield's pistol drifts further toward the floor before he speaks.
Brenda left me while I was at work.
Axum looks up again.
And it hit you out of the blue. We have that in common, James.
Brockenfield nods slowly. The gun slides all the way down to his side now.
My wife's name was Marilyn. I felt like nothing when she was gone, James. Like you feel now. Coming home every day to an empty house for no reason at all. Just the pointless, ugly unfairness of it. For the first time in my life, I got depressed. And I felt like, well, how did you put it a few minutes ago? It's just never going to stop. Exactly. But here's what I learned. It does stop. The pain fades. It changes you, but it doesn't end you. You come out the other side if you keep going.
Brockenfield shakes his head, the gun still down at his side.
There's nothing. There's nothing. There's love.
Marlon Dixon reaches out his left hand and touches Brockenfield's arm gently.
Always. Even now. Listen to me, James. I promise you, James. You're my brother, and I love you.
Brockenfield flinches and steps back, raising the gun slightly. Axum steps smoothly between them, shifting Brockenfield's attention.
Marlon here is a man of great faith. I'm not. But he jumped down from the stage to stand between a crowd and your gun. He had a clear path to the door, and instead of running, he said, Lord, give me the strength to face my enemy with love, and he jumped between your anger and a crowd of strangers. You shot him, but you didn't kill him. You shot him, and he told you he loves you. That's how I know he's right. You are not nothing, James. No one is.
Brockenfield steps back.
Christ. Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus.
The pistol still held loosely in his right hand. He raises his left like he's clutching at the air. I look from Axum to Dixon, wondering what they'll do next. A quiet pop from the back of the hall. Brockenfield stumbles forward, then collapses to the floor behind a row of chairs, out of my line of vision. Axum and Dixon drop to the ground. I glance toward the back door as a man in a black SWAT uniform lowers his rifle.
And that's it.
That's it.
Oh,
Nice
God.
performance.
Oh my God. I'm here at the edge of my seat, like in tears.
Mandy's in tears and terror. That's good.
Oh,
Oh,
we did our job then.
we did.
Ha, we made you cry.
That's what we want! We live for the tears!
I'm going to make her buy all 3 of the Ameritocracy books.
Ever again.
No, that was very well done. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good chapter. That was a good
I
chapter.
did the same when I read it. Oof.
Yeah.
I just want to vomit and cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a good job of sort of like bringing up all the emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because of what just had happened with her. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah, which we didn't say. We didn't
Yeah.
spoil that, but
We didn't. Yeah.
there's in the middle of this
Brutal.
book, there's a lot of drama back to back to back, and it gets very crazy. I've heard it's weird. A lot of people are reading these books now for some reason, I'm hearing from more readers about these books than normal, is what I should say. And a lot of people are on off message right now and are just sending me messages like, holy hell, what the hell's going on in the middle of this book? Because so many strange things happen at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the biggest twist happens more toward the end of the second book.
Yeah.
Brutal.
That's how people like it. That's how people like their fiction.
Great series.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have to finish this series up. I'm so proud of Annie for kicking so much ass on it.
I'm
Thank you
really
so much.
grateful, really
Yes.
grateful for this
Thank you,
series.
AC.
And
for-
such a treat to narrate a political drama.
It really is. Like just being able to do the more subtle and realistic acting. You know, we do so much sci-fi and fantasy, which is tons of fun. But it's
Right.
also we just get to chew the scenery all the time. You know, and
Yeah.
it's hard. It's harder to get away with that with like a real drama like this because people need to believe it. So
Yeah, well, I think you guys did an amazing job. It's fun for me because I usually don't like revisiting my books after I've written them and then edited them multiple times and proofread them and read them again. Usually, I don't enjoy revisiting them, but I really enjoyed listening to Off Message, which I just finished yesterday or the day before, and I'm about to finish Echo Chamber in the next couple days. And you guys made them new for me, which was enjoyable. And I'm planning to promote them quite a bit over the coming year. They're set mostly in 2019, 2020. So my hope is that as the 2020 election draws closer, people will
Yeah.
be more and more inclined to try these books out because they're different than anything else I've ever written. But the people who read them absolutely love them. Some people, though, are a bit jaded about politics right now and are avoiding anything having to do with politics. But I think that'll change over time.
Well, you know, I'm one of those people I just do not like politics, and that's why I was drawn to this series, because it's a fresh take. You know,
Right.
it's like an alternative to the entire system, and I really think that that's the kind of thing that people need to be thinking about now. Is like, okay, what's going on right now just isn't working out for anybody.
Yeah.
How, you know, times are changing, everything's changing around us. It's time for some kind of change to happen within the system so that it can actually work out for more people. So,
and whether it's this or something else, I mean, we know that online voting is being experimented with, and it could be coming to an iPhone near you at some point soon. And then, you know, who knows what the heck could happen there. When I was researching these books, I did find there's one guy, I think it was the guy one of the founders of LinkedIn or something, was experimenting with a similar system to Ameritocracy, but only for the Democratic Party, like to try to find a way to kind of have a crowdsourced popularity contest to pick candidates for state races in the Democratic Party. So little ideas that are in the ballpark of this are percolating up, and I don't know if something like this will happen, but the intersection of technology and politics is likely not going away anytime soon unless we have some kind of nuclear Armageddon. Fingers crossed that we don't. And so we've got an interesting few decades coming up for people to watch. That's all I can really say about it.
For sure.
It's going to get weird.
Sure.
It's going to get weirder.
It's going to get weird. Yep. All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for tonight. AC, thank you again for coming and hanging out with us while we demo a few more of your chapters. As I said before, both of these books are almost ready for publication. Off Message should be going out the door tomorrow.
Yep.
And Open Primary Book 1 is available now on Audible, so check the description below. You'll find the link to that. And thank you guys so much for subscribing. We are now up to 902.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're well on our way. I would like it if we could get to 1,000 before the end of the year. And that doesn't seem completely undoable. Like, that seems like a sort of reasonable goal. It would take like 5 subscribers per day to get there, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If you guys liked this show, if you want to go check out the backlog, we have more than 145 videos now, I think. We've just been stacking them up, so you can go binge them if you want to. There's a lot of crazy and appropriate content. There's a lot of funny fantasy stuff. There's tons of stuff on this channel of me just goofing off and talking to authors and talking to other narrators. And so yeah, just go browse around. And if you like this channel, share it with your friends. Tell people that we need subscribers. We need your support. So that'll be all for today. Everything's half price on Audible. Go check it out. And yeah, that's it. So
that's it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's not a touchscreen.
Bye.
It's not a touchscreen.
I'm truly hopeless. Bye, everybody.